Welcome back to Onyango Atieno and Company Advocates, where justice is delivered differently. In my previous video, I said today we are going to discuss the concept of due diligence. This is the most important thing I will ever discuss in regards to the laws that govern the sale and purchase of property in Kenya, and it may be a little complicated at first, but bear with me, I'll try and simplify it to the best of my ability. To understand the concept of due diligence, we have to understand the case of Dina Management versus County Government of Mombasa. It is a Supreme Court case that was delivered in 2023. There are two things that you should keep in mind while we discuss the case of Dina Management. One is that shamba ya serikali huwezi pewa ukue nayo milele. So for government land, you can only be given a lease of up to 100 years. And upon the lapse of the 100 years, you have to apply to government to renew your lease, and the renewal is not automatic. Let's discuss now the case of Dina Management. Dina Management is a company that went to court in September 2017 after the County Government of Mombasa entered into their land without notice and demolished their perimeter wall, stating that they wanted to give a pathway, to create a pathway to the beach. The County Government of Mombasa, in their response to the suit by Dina Management, claimed that the land was public land, and as such, they were entitled to kutengeneza hiyo pathway ya kwenda kwenye beach. The High Court and the Court of Appeal agreed that the County Government of Mombasa was justified in demolishing the perimeter wall because the land was illegally alienated. So Dina Management goes to the Supreme Court, to the highest court of the land, to appeal the decision of the Court of Appeal. At the Supreme Court, one of the major issues for determination were, one, whether a title deed is proof enough to show ownership of property. What do I mean? Whether mtu akikuja na title deed akwambie hii shamba ni yangu, ukweli hiyo shamba ni yake. Another question the Supreme Court had to answer is whether an innocent purchaser of the land that was illegally acquired could be protected under Article 40 of the Constitution of Kenya. What I mean is whether kama wewe umenunua shamba enye iliibiwa na mwenye alikuwa anakuuzia shamba, kama wewe unaweza baki na hiyo shamba, whether the law can protect you because you are innocent, haukuwa unajua mwenye alikuwa anauza alikuwa ameiba hiyo shamba. The Supreme Court, while looking at this case, found out that this property was first alienated by our late President Daniel Moi, and he alienated the property without requesting the Commissioner of Lands for the said alienation. Alichukua tu shamba ya serikali akaiweka kwa jina yake, and then he converted this property to a freehold title. As I previously stated, shamba ya serikali uwezi own absolutely, uwezi own milele, unaweza pewa tu up to 100 years. Sasa yeye aliconvert hii shamba ikuwe ni kama ni shamba yake ya kukaa milele. And then sasa hii shamba ndio Dina Management walinunua. So the Supreme Court had to ask themselves whether Dina Management, being innocent, wao si wenye waliiba shamba, the person mwenye aliiba shamba alikuwa Daniel Moi, whether wanaweza protect hii shamba in the name of Dina Management. So the Supreme Court, in answering the two questions that I mentioned earlier, answered in the negative in the first question, meaning a title deed is not proof enough to show ownership of the property. And then in the second question on whether they can protect the person who bought illegally alienated land, they said no. If you buy property from a person who alikuwa ameiba hiyo shamba, pia wewe hiyo shamba inachukuliwa from you. So the Supreme Court also stated that because the land was prime and the land was overlooking the beach, Dina Management going to purchase that land should have and ought to have done its due diligence wangefaa kuchunguza hiyo title kabisa kabisa, ndio wajue kama hiyo title ilipatikana kwa njia ya kisheria. So the takeaway from this case of Dina Management is that the court and the law will not protect you or uphold an illegality, which means kama ulinunua shamba kwa mtu mwenye aliwiba hiyo shamba, pia wewe hiyo shamba inachukuliwa from you. In my opinion, this decision was the best decision the Supreme Court could ever have given to us as Kenyans, because we know that our country, people who have influence, they try and grab public land, they try and take away land that belongs to the public, that ought to have been used for the purpose of the general public, and alienate the land to themselves, and then subsequently try and sell that property to other people as if that property was their own. So due diligence comes in kwa sababu unafaa kuchunguza kila title deed enye mtu anakupea akikwambia ati shamba ni yake. Hata kama nyinyi ni marafiki, kama mmejuana for quite some time, unafaa kuchunguza hiyo title, kwa sababu yeye anaweza kuwa ukweli alinunua hiyo shamba kwa njia ya kisheria, lakini mwenye alimuuzia anaweza kuwa aliiba hiyo shamba. Na siku moja mtu akikuja kusema ati hii shamba ni yangu, na muende kotini na upate kwamba ukweli mwenye alikuzia shamba alikuwa ameiba, na wewe uko unajua, hiyo shamba yako itapotea. Na kama ulikuwa umejenga hiyo nyumba, ujue mwenye shamba anaweza taka kuibomoa. Sasa huna shamba, pesa yako yenye ulitumia kununua shamba imeenda, na sheria pia inasema haiwezi kukusaidia. Ukiweza kusahau kila kitu nimewahi kukufunza, tafadhali kumbuka kesi ya Dina Management enye inasema hata wewe kama uko innocent na umenunua shamba kwa njia ya kisheria, lakini mwenye alikuwa amekuuzia shamba alikuwa ameiba, hiyo shamba yako itachukuliwa na ubaki bila shamba, na pesa zako pia zitakuwa zimeenda. So in my next video, I'll be telling you how to investigate the title that you've been offered for sale.